All right, guys, we are live.
All
Welcome to the
right.
show. This is Lance Furuyama coming to you from Roasty Toasty Palm Springs, California.
Oh,
We have
well,
Norman Fink and Colin Addley with us. Gentlemen, let's jump into it. Colin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your firm?
sure. Yeah. Well, we're here in a toasty Las Vegas, both of us. So I'm the owner and managing member of ADDMORE Services. Basically, we're a professional technical service to the millwork industry and specialist subcontracting industry, providing a whole range of services from drawings to quantity surveying to project management. And through dealing with a lot of millwork companies throughout the United States, I could see a common problem with them all. They all were having different difficulties with how they control their processes. And I happened to meet with Norman, who introduced me to the Crows Nest software, which is an ERP solution end to end. And oh my goodness, I wish I'd had it when I had my own company running in millwork and fit out.
I wish you had it too.
Yeah, we were a big company back there. And I was in Dubai for 20 years. It was a very large fit out company. We had over 2,000 people in the workshop in the joinery. So it would have been a very useful tool. So I'll pass you over to Norman, who is more the expert on the ERP solution. We highly recommend it because it enables all the processes to be better managed. As a manager myself, when you see the reporting and the flexibility of the reporting, as a manager, it's really a number one tool. But I'll pass you over to Norman, who's their global sales director, and he can explain a little bit more.
Well, thank you, Colin. And Lance, I really appreciate the invite, Colin, the invite to be here today. And just to introduce Crow's Nest for those that weren't aware of it, we've been around for quite a while. Colin is right. I am the global sales director for Crow's Nest Software. And in terms of my own involvement and the reason that I'm associated with Crow's Nest, pretty much my entire adult life, one way or another, I've been involved in one of two things, either woodworking and or computer software, and computer software for construction and or woodworking. I grew up in a family architectural woodworking family business. I was a third generation, and not to date myself, but I went into family business in 1974, and in 1980, one of my siblings had gotten a master's degree in computer science, and when he came into the family business and started egging me on with the old elbow, we got to get Dad to computerize this business. And Dad wasn't going to hear of that back then, because what I hold in my hand as a cell phone is more powerful today than what you could get for $1 million back then. Dad wanted something obviously to be proven that it works, but we weren't going to be stopped. And we started developing our own software for our own shop. And before we realized it, we had a marketable product. So in 1980, the two of us literally left the family business, which was always the plan to continue on as a third generation. And we started a software company specifically for the architectural commercial side of woodworking more than residential, because that was the business we knew. And we developed a estimating, engineering, cut listing, and panel optimization software. And we were closely associated in AWI with the AWI membership, more or less. So and had quite a name going for us. Kept that going until we sold the business in 1996 or 97. I don't really remember at this point. 16, 17 years we did that. So one way or another, that's been my livelihood. After we sold the business, I continued working with many software companies that were construction or manufacturing related. And then I came across the folks from Crow's Nest back in, I'd say about 2012, 2013, and really became active with it around 2015. And so, that's my background. Crow's Nest itself, we can talk about that, is we've been in business for quite a while now, and we're international. We sell into Europe, specifically Ireland and the UK, and of course in North America as well.
Okay, so I guess where's Crow's Nest based, and are they solely used for the millwork industry, or are there other applications?
Yeah, I love that question. No. So we are based out of headquarters in the Seattle region, if you will, Northwest America. We have folks, that we work virtually pretty much. Have folks in Portland, folks in Washington State and North Dakota. I myself, I reside in the Maryland area. But our marketing is primarily to the woodworking industry because that's our heritage. That's where we come from. Everybody in Crow's Nest has a similar relationship, either direct experience in woodworking and or software. As a matter of fact, Paul Hitchcock is the president and the chief software developer for Crow's Nest. He's also a professional woodworker. And I've never met that combination. Somebody literally, he's an incredibly bright individual, knows professional woodworking and is a professional software developer. This is not really salient, but it's just my love for this guy. As brilliant as he is, he doesn't understand a dumb question. He's got the patience of a saint and just loves talking about it. So as far as, are we strictly for woodworking? We have customers that are specialty trade contractors. I think we're applicable to any subcontractor because they all share the same problem set as woodworkers, dealing with general contractors and coordinating amongst all that activity. So we do have other contractors that are outside of woodworking. Specifically, we have some window treatment, commercial window treatment customers, interior ceiling renovation contractors, some steel fabricators. But generally, the bulk of our woodworking our software is for the woodworking trade in all formats of that.
That's great. You walk into any mechanical contractor and they have their own fabrication shop, and there's absolute benefit to it. And another thing I loved is that this was created out of necessity almost, and it wasn't just creating software for the sake of creating it. It's addressing the problems of the woodworker, the manufacturer, the subcontractor.
Like anything else, maybe some folks might disagree with AI, but to me, software and computers cannot do anything that a human can't do, except for the volume of information. We don't have, as humans, that capacity. And that's the problem, and that's very relatable to woodworking business. If you are a woodworking contractor and you have one project you're working on at a time, you probably don't need Crow's Nest because you can keep all that in your head. But where our customers, where they got multiple contracts and projects that we're working on constantly and keeping all that going, it's just too much. And that's exactly where we come in. And that's the necessity that we developed this out of. We were developed in a woodworking shop. We're actually third generation of this product, which really speaks to how long the idea of it's been around. And it comes from the necessity. I got so much going on, we can't keep it all together. And because of that, we make mistakes or we forget to do things. And it cost us thousands of dollars, this one mistake, et cetera.
True. And Serena, I do see your question. Again, audience, please keep your questions coming in. We will have a Q&A session at the end. I have that pulled up from YouTube. So Serena, we'll get to you shortly. Colin, can you tell us about how working with Crow's Nest aligns with ADDMORE and its services?
Yeah, sure. So basically, ADDMORE was created originally to support the millwork industry in terms of, drafts people, engineering, quantity surveying, project management. And that's how I realized the necessity, apart from my own experiences where you need a system. So the benefit to my clients is, one, I'm helping them introduce them to something that's going to help them run their business and give them the information they want. And it's at a well-priced, Norman can explain a bit more about that, but it's a well-priced level. And we offer project management as one of our things. So obviously if they use Crow's Nest, it aids them in their project management. And if they need any assistance in the setting up or processes, it's sort of related to what we do anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a good introduction for me as well when I'm introducing my company to companies that I haven't worked with, and I can say, well, okay, they've got an in-house engineering team. They're not so needing my services at the moment, But then I can say, well, how are you managing with your ERP process? How do you control it? Are you satisfied with how things are working? And I often get told, no, it's very stressful and very pressurized at times. And I said, well, you should talk with Norman Fink of Crows Nest. So that's how I got involved with them, because when I'm basically pitching my own company, it's sort of an add-on value to mention Norman and Crows Nest, because it is a value to the client. I mean, as an owner of a company, when you can capture everything within one platform, you can even email from Teams within the platform. You can just set up formulas where emails are just into between different departments are automatic. It's so customizable and flexible. That's what impressed me. And it uses like a Kanban board, a card setup. It's very visual, very flexible, interchangeable. And because every business has its own ways how it likes to work. And Crow's Nest permits them to do that in a way that they want, but get that professional, modern, user-friendly information that they can share with their colleagues and understand their own business clearly. In one dashboard, they can see from their, how many bids they put out, how many jobs they've won, what's going through the shop, where are they at with their values for contract administration, all the project from the end to end. I mean, it's a game changer. I mean, I just wish I'd heard of it years ago. There are other products out there, but nothing that I have, and I've been in this business. I'm 50 years in construction next year. And this is the most flexible, customizable software that I've seen in my time. And that's why I got excited about it. And I wanted to be involved. And now I also help to represent them and, sort of introduce them to clients. And it's great. They're a great bunch of guys, very, very experienced and professional people. So it's a company that I'm very happy to be, working with.
I love that you mentioned customization and fit. When I was in the electrical contracting space, we used this cheap software that was meant for roofers, and we tried to make it work.
Yeah.
And it did not go well. I will tell you that our bid room was terrible, and you have to find the right fit for your business.
Lance, go to any joinery shop and ask the guy, how many bids have you had in the last 3 months? They'll probably take them 2 days to compile that list and put it together, because they're not maintaining it. Where if you have it in a process, everything is there. You can just pull up a dashboard. You can see how many bids did I do for the retail sector? How many bids did I do for the hospitality sector? It's all how you set it up. Right. And the system is so flexible.
And the analytics behind it.
And the analytics is all there. I mean, it's an exciting thing to have. I mean, as a manager, once they see it and they know it, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. It's win-win.
Information is king.
Yeah, absolutely.
Norm, I've been dying to ask you about this. I purposely did not talk to you about it because I wanted to have it happen live. Tell me about the 6 categories, themes that Colin mentioned to me before in Crow's Nest.
Well, on top of what Colin was just saying, he actually took a lot of my thunder out of me from me. So I thank you for that, Colin. But Colin, before I even talk about how we break down the offering, the functionality of Crow's Nest, I think what's really important to establish just our differentiation of how we approach the market and how we approach the market from a product offering. Our differentiation is really in 4 or 5 different areas. Number one, the fact that, as Colin has mentioned, we are so customizable. We're closely approaching now close to 200 customers. If you would visit every one of our customers, you're not going to find the same thing twice, because everybody gets to customize Crow's Nest for how they need it to run for their business, as opposed to reorienting your business to run a software. We don't believe in that at all. So to that end, that is our heritage. That's what we're known for, a totally customizable solution, different than any customizing that's been done with other software. We literally have built it in that you can pretty much customize any aspect that you need of the software without us providing new custom software or development or coding in order to make that happen. And on top of that, that makes us therefore very flexible. And we're flexible that's how we are able to go from electrical contractor to roofing and still have it be, very applicable in that way. Additionally, and, I do, I can't tell you how many demos I do yearly, et cetera. And it's always a different thing. But one of the things that I love to point out, When we're talking about software at the level of, and what is Crow's Nest? It is an ERP/project management solution. A lot of people know the term today, ERP, and which for those that aren't familiar, stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Bunch of words. What that really means is one cohesive solution for the whole company. And the point is, when you're purchasing or you are going to be using a software, unlike a Microsoft Word, unlike a Excel, a spreadsheet, where I consider these to be plug and play, single purpose, single user solutions, where I'm Bill, I'm Bob, I'm Jane, and Bill, I'm using Word, where Bob is using Google Docs, etc. And you know what? I'm kind of sick of Word today. I think tomorrow I'm going to start using Docs. You go right into it. You plug and play it because it's an individual and everybody else, they can use whatever they want. I'm producing documents. That's not what an ERP, a company-wide solution is. A company-wide solution, we're talking about front end of the company to the back end, one solution that everybody is pulling, adding to information or pulling from it for their purpose on their role in the company. So therefore, if you're purchasing a software, you're going to be making a decision on what software you want. That's a company-wide, enterprise-wide solution. You better be looking at this in terms of, not only is this a good fit for us, but it's got the growth, it's got the scalability such that we could be using this for the next 20 to 30 years. Because to get a software like this up and running to its full potential, I mean, we have customers that literally can start using parts of Crow's Nest in the very first week. Like purchasing, that could be done in the first week. But there are other aspects that you build and bring on in time at your pace, etc. The point is, by the time you get it to the point that everything it can offer and start using it, you're probably 6 months to 18 months worth of development, not development, but in onboarding time and effort. That if you realize 2 years down the road, my goodness, the software is working for us, but now we want to add more. And it only gives me room to add 5 of these things in here. And when we looked at that software, we knew we only had 2. We figured, okay, we'll never have more than 4. They have 5. It's good. I promise you, anybody that's ever used software, a year later than when you first started, you're doing much more with it than you ever anticipated. And 2 years later, you're using it even more and more and adding to it. The point is, Crow's Nest is 100% scalable. And I demonstrate this physically in front of our customers, where most of our competition will never mention this. And the point is, 2 years later, you realize, oh, I need 7 of these things and they only have 5. What do? I either sacrifice and I'll never get what I need to track, or do I start all over? And to start all over is probably the most expensive thing you could do, not in new purchase price, but just time and the lost time of going from one to another and getting it up to speed. It is the most expensive mistake any company can make. So understanding how scalable a product can be so it can grow with you is hugely a huge intangible, but maybe one of the most important things. Well, to that same extent, we're also extendable. Out of the box, we might have the ability to create all this information. Think of a spreadsheet, columns and rows, and where every column is another piece of the data that you want to look at cohesively within that whole row, that record, if you will. And well, we love every one of your columns that you've showed us, Crow's Nest, but in our business, there's 3 more pieces of information that I don't see there. Well, guess what? With Crow's Nest, you can add it your own. We call it UDCs, user-defined columns. And you can make up and extend what the software actually does from what we provide out of the box. No cost involved, and we teach you how to do it. And now you've just extended it, and then other customers, they don't have that. This is how you're customizing it for your own use.
Nice. I have an anonymous comment from YouTube. I'm going to jump this one in the queue just because it's right in line with what you're talking about.
Sure.
They're saying typically ERP is associated with large enterprise-sized businesses, but it sounds like Crow's Nest may be applicable to small businesses if the ROI is correct.
Well, let's talk about the woodworking industry to begin with. It is a small industry. Even a very large woodworker a woodworking firm, 50, 60, 70 mil, other than your Merilats, et cetera, but your custom architectural or custom or even residential woodworkers, that's tiny in the world of big business today, where you're Fortune 1000, Fortune 500, Fortune 200s, et cetera. So you're absolutely right, or to the questioner is absolutely right. Crow's Nest is made for what I consider small businesses. We literally have a range of customer size from as little as originally four people in the entire company. And of course, we have several companies that are above or around 50, 60 million using this. The range is all over, and we have different pricing points and those pricing points can also be augmented later on as you grow as well. I'm thinking one of my original customers that was in New York literally had four people. Today, they're over 25, and they're now down in Atlanta. They've grown with the software over all these years, and they just keep adding more and more users in it, but they started quite small. So yeah, that we very much, are apply to the woodworking, the size of woodworkers generally in this industry. Now, as I share more about, as we talked about the 6 areas, just a couple more things of differentiation. Crow's Nest in and of itself is, as a project management ERP solution, what does every woodworking company need to track? Dates. Because, and what type of dates? There's all kinds of dates. There's dates at the project level. Well, you also have work orders where you can create your own custom dates that you want to track at the work order level. You have shop drawings to create. Well, you can create your own dates that you want to track in their shop drawing tracking, et cetera, et cetera. Similar to that, we're also very status centric. You make up your own statuses. And I like Colin was saying, how many of this did we do in that quarter? Well, maybe that's a status. I'd like to know how many of these projects that fit that status did we have in this project. You make up your own statuses at every level in the software. So again, that's all part of the customization, the flexibility, et cetera. Additionally, a little bit more of differentiation is our business model and the architectural model of Crow's Nest. We are not a subscription. We sell the licensed usage of the software. It's a one-time purchase, and you could use it forever. And the difference between that and a subscription is a rental. And architecturally, it makes a difference as well. And here's why. I love to make this analogy. I'm thinking about, I'm a real estate developer, and I can create a big apartment building, and then I'm looking for renters. And I give every renter a little apartment in my building. And the more apartments I have, the smaller they are, the more apartments I can have in my building. So I'm trying to populate this building. That's the rental model. When you're renting software, you have a software developer that has one huge database, and you're getting a little apartment in that whole database that they offer. And guess what? You got to keep paying for it monthly. It'll never stop. And one day, if you get sick and tired of paying for it, that's it. They've just closed out that apartment. They've taken the key away to your apartment, and you can't enter it. And that information, they might say, yeah, you know what, we'll give you all your furniture and you put it outside. But that furniture is only fit to that apartment. It's specific to that apartment. It will not be usable. With Crow's Nest, we're providing you the whole building. And every one of our customers gets its own building, its own unique database. And you get sick and tired. We do offer a update service because we're constantly enhancing the software. If you get tired of paying for that update service, fine, cut it off. The last version that you were entitled to when you had your update service, you could use that for the next 6,000 years if you wish. It's yours. You own it. And that software can be installed in the cloud or on premise, and we can go back and forth as many times as you want. You have total control. So that's some of the differentiation that I wanted to share. The way that we look at our software, we more or less, when we developed it, there were some clearly overarching problems that we wanted to solve. One of them kind of talked about already a little bit, but the fact is that let's look at a typical woodworking and or specialty contractor business. You have multiple people working on each and every project. And every one of these people are also working on multiple projects at the same time. Well, with that being said, what happens? Well, I have an estimator. I have a project manager. I have a purchasing person. And then maybe executive management, and maybe somebody also in financials. That's four or five people. I lost count of how many I just came up with. And every one of those people have their own computer, and they only have what they're working on their computer. So as an example, let's say Colin is my purchasing manager and I'm the estimator. Wouldn't it be nice if Colin had what I estimated the cost of all these things that he needs to purchase right in front of him? What does he have to do? He has to get out of his seat, come over or call me on the phone or text me or something. Hey, how much was the budget of this? I'm getting ready to purchase. I'm getting prices right now. Having everything all in one place, that's the key. So what we're solving is what I call fractured data or silos, data silos, where everybody's got their little piece. We put Crows Nest all in one place, even the information that we don't produce. For example, we are not an engineering software. We're not a design software. Our residential customers, maybe they're using another product like a Mosaic or maybe a Cabinet Vision for their kitchen design, etc. Well, those design files will also sit in the document management of Crows Nest. We become the portal of all of the information, and everybody has access to it. And I will put a caveat in there to the extent that the ownership wants people to have, because we have a very granular permissions structure as well, because there's some financial information might be sensitive. So even that is under control. So with that, we solving that fractured data silo problem, those folks that are doing that, typically individuals, what are they using? Spreadsheets. We see spreadsheets still so often. And what the big problem there is spreadsheets are cool, but when you've got 15 spreadsheets for each little aspect of things, and the data from this spreadsheet now has to be copied and updated to the next spreadsheet, and then to the next one, you get nothing else done. So that's another problem that we've eliminated, getting rid of spreadsheets or mitigating spreadsheets to the point where we'll integrate that data in if it's so special of what you're doing, and we need to bring that information that Crows Nest stores. We're that flexible that we can do that. So we in essence become the infrastructural platform for every customer. That allows all the information to be in one place. And then to your question, we do break up our functionality into 6 or 7 different areas. The first function of capability is for executive management. We call it our management overview capabilities within the software. And then we have our estimating capabilities in the software. Project management is a third area of information that's readily coming out of and produced in the software. For the financial folks, the cost management aspect and keeping your eyes on your costs on each project in the software. Then you've got production, and that's another area such as scheduling that will come out of the software and is automatically there. Installation and closeout. How can we help facilitate that and keep track of things? And then we also have our mobile app, and our mobile app is a functional subset of the whole solution. So within these different areas, you've asked me to speak about them, and I realized I needed to establish some things before I'm finally getting into the piece of what we're here to talk about. But looking at each one of them at a time, for example, executive management, they don't want to get down in the weeds. They need, how are we doing across all of our projects? So we're providing 360-degree visibility. Remember I had said one of the customizations you can make up, what are all these different statuses you would like to track things at each level? Well, and Colin had brought up like a board view, a Kanban or a card view. Well, we'll show views of all your projects broken down by each status that the project is currently in. So you can get a very quick look at, how many projects do I currently have in this status? And then you can literally drag and drop it from one to another as the project is maturing into the next level or next status. you get a very quick view of that. And we offer that kind of view, not only at the project level, but maybe, well, how am I doing across all my work orders and what statuses are they in, et cetera, every level. So I like to call that 360-degree visibility for executive management. Also dashboards that we provide. And I will also share another thing that separates us from our competition is we provide custom reporting for every one of our customers, including custom dashboard creation. Crow's Nest not only does it ship with certain dashboards, like one of our favorite dashboards that we love to share with folks is what we call our bottleneck dashboard. But unlike competition, every one of our dashboards can be 100% customized to what do you want that dashboard to show. Out of the box, our bottleneck dashboard will show where your bottlenecks are, either in labor and how much labor do I have across all my projects and various work orders within the following X number of months, and you set up your time frames. Or another way of looking at it is where's my revenue coming in from? And oh my goodness, look at this. In next month, in these 3 projects, that represents 80% of the revenue opportunities I have if we decide to move them forward, if we can, to bring revenue in the door. So different ways of looking at things. All of this is custom tailored to what you want these dashboards and or reports to be created. So the idea is with management, high level overview, and because that's what they're interested in. But then we've got our staff positions, and they need details. They need to really get into things. So when we get into things, then that's where we're going to start looking at different functional areas. Starting with estimating, which is the next area. We've got a very robust estimating solution. It's based on a template library approach. So the idea is you're building a library of templates that we can pull into any estimate and customize it from there. It's all parametrically if our audience knows, and if the audience doesn't know what parametrically just means, it's variable. We can take, for example, and I'll use the most simplest example I can use, which like a base open cabinet. Can't get any easier than that. Well, maybe generally I make it 30 by 24 by 18 deep, but I can customize that each and every day. And because in estimating, what's the essence of estimating? I don't care what you're doing. It comes down to 2 things: capturing your material costs, capturing your labor and what you expect it to be. So as we customize the width, height, and depth, that's going to either create more or less material and potentially more or less labor. It's all formalized, parametric. So the idea is from your parametric library, we can bring them in, or we have customers that are using PDF markup tools like Bluebeam or PlanSwift, and they're doing their takeoffs there, and we just import them right in, and then we're breaking it down into that. And then there's a tremendous amount of customization and manipulation that you can do, what we call mass substitution. We also can track any, what we call create what are your specs for this estimate, set up your specs, and that will have an effect on exactly what your materials are for that project. So very high level, I set up my specs, and then all that detail down below is automatically flowing.
Just so like as a management, again, one of the great things with it is that you can apply your markups overall, line by line. It's very flexible and customizable. So if I say, okay, on my subcontractors, I want to put this X percentage. On my in-house department stuff, I want to put that percentage. On my general conditions, I want to put a different percentage. You can do it any which way that you like to do it, and it's all done automatically then in the formula for you, and you get all that reporting. So as a manager, that's great because when you're adjudicating any bid, there's always some level of adjustment you're going to make yourself the most competitive. So you can really play around with it, and it's very quick and very simple. Once the estimator has done the work, you can very quickly tweak the percentages wherever you want to adjust them, and you can really come up with the best price that you can possibly submit.
And Colin, one thing that I have to share here, and we're getting a little tight on time, but this is again such a huge differentiator for us because I get this question a lot, and I've been around woodwork, as I've established woodworking software for the longest time. One of the biggest problems with most woodworking estimating software, what happens in our industry? Prices change. And when prices change, the question that always comes up is, as I make changes in prices, is that going to affect all the estimates I already have I've already done? And in our competition, it surely does, and you have no control. With us, you can lock any estimate you want. So with price changes, that's going forward, but you can lock what your original estimate is, or you can make a duplicate of that estimate and have one being what was the original, and here is what the price changes.
Wow.
I mean, it's so, and again, that's one of those intangibles, but this is a great opportunity to share that, because most people don't realize that problem until it's too late. And oh my God, I can't believe I lost all my original.
This is the benefit for ownership and executive management. This is where it gives them the right information to make, educated decisions.
Another one of those areas. So we've talked about management overview. We've talked about estimating as project management. And again, we're tracking everything in terms of milestone dates and status, even in shop drawing. How many shop drawings do you have? Dates like, what is our intended date to get done? What is the date that we started? What is the date it is due? What is the date we submitted it? And most importantly, what is the date it was returned? And it was returned with R&R, revise and resubmit. And what are the dates now upon this revision? And that's, again, one of these intangibles. What if you negotiated a contract with the GC? Say, I will give you 2 levels of revisions. Now you're on revision 3. I think that spells to me change order, and you can produce change orders in Crow's Nest. And so, the whole idea is, and I'll be the first to admit, and I know this is going public, but my whole life I've been on the subcontracting world. So when it comes to general contractors, when it comes to GCs, I still have this bias of not love for GCs, because I was a subcontractor and I know what they have done to subs. So the whole point is we're arming ourselves now for the first time that the sub is going to try to hold me responsible for liquidated penalties of holding up their project. No, sir. I have it right here. We're tracking. We submitted on such a date. It took you 6 weeks before it was returned. I've got it right here. And as a matter of fact, not only we're not paying you, we're going to charge you because you held us up. It's that kind of information that we're tracking in Crow's Nest throughout.
Yeah, I think, Norman, one of the things there is the contemporary records that it creates. I trained originally as a quantity surveyor, and the biggest problem with me to help any millwork owner when he wants to make a claim is they fail to be able to provide to me documentation, contemporary records, and they put things on notice. Well, in this, wherever you put your notes, your emails, everything's recorded. You have the full supporting document. Oh. So I've got the gun, but I need the bullets. That's right. So Crow's Nest enables them to give me the ammunition that I can go and do the battle for them. And generally, once you've got the right records, you're going to win the case. But if you go in there and you don't have the contemporary records or the information, or you're not able to defend it, how many subcontractors have lost money like that? I know lots of them. I've been there myself. And contemporary records are key.
Absolutely. And then underneath, again, still a project management area, we believe in having you execute your business under best practices. And the whole idea is, if you think about every one of our customers, a custom project, every project they do is different than the other, but there is a lot of commonality. And one of the commonalities is we've looked at what is our process. Our process is we start here in this department and we do step by step in that department before we go to the next department, and they have all their steps that they have to perform. Well, that if we can make sure that those steps and in that order is being performed day in and day out to produce a totally custom result every time, but we're standardizing exactly what our process flow is. And in Crow's Nest, we call this task management. We have a very strong workflow engine. And the idea is to go through and identify what is your process, look at all your steps. And if we realize that this step, we do it all the time and it's not adding value, get rid of it. And what are you left with? Best practices. And Crow's Nest is going to automatically trigger the appropriate task assignment to the right person with a automatic due date relative to the timing of that project, because I'm going to have the same task, if it's best practice, on every project. But task A on project 1 is due now, and task A on project 2 might not be due for 3 weeks from now. So we know what we need to do at the right time, keep the projects on time, on budget. So that's another aspect of the project management. A couple more areas that we cover in Crows Nest is cost management. And the idea is looking at, here's our budget that came from estimating, and in real time job costing. What is our budget of material? What's our budget of labor? What's our actual to date of labor and material? And you show that graphically or trending or any way you want. That's customization of reports and or dashboards or what we provide out of the box. You have all that information. Also the ability, from a costing perspective, we do progress billing of your customers in Crows Nest, including retention tracking. And so schedule of values, et cetera, all that is part of what we offer. Change order tracking, as I issue it, and tracking, as I've mentioned, and progress financial reporting, including we have standard WIP, work in progress reports, and or we even have some customers that are tracking their net worth on an ongoing monthly basis. Is it trending up, trending down? So, that kind of information is also available. And then when it comes into the next area is production, everybody wants to talk about scheduling. And scheduling is really based on what do I need to do in terms of fabrication, maybe broken down into various work orders, and what are all the tasks that I have to do. Generally, it starts with cutting, and maybe depending on the kind of business you have, it might be edge banding, it might not. From that, you've got now your parts are cut and banded. You go into assembly. Well, the point is, how much time is there? That all comes from estimating, and that estimating will go into our project budgets. And if we look at each work order, and every general contractor or builder is going to give the subcontractor, here is a schedule, what we need you to follow on your portion of my big project. And so if I've got this project broken down into 5, 6, 10, 200 work orders, each work order is going to have the scheduled mandated date when I have to be complete. Well, what we can set up for you is, I already know from Crows Nest, these are all the shop tasks I have to do: cutting, banding, assembly, finishing, etc., and the custom calculated durations of each of these tasks. On that work order, if I take all of the values, the combined value dates, days, durations of each of these tasks, now I have the total duration of all of the tasks on a work order. Subtract that from the mandated completion date, that will establish the production start date automatically. And so that's all part of scheduling. We can show that in a Gantt chart. And if things get changed and I need to, this date is going to go longer, what effect that has on the rest of the work on that work order, automatically displayed, etc. We also show capacity reports, and we can look at that by labor department and what percent of time do these people spend in this department and play what if. What if we move him from 10% to 20% of it, of his time in that department to fill needed capacity? Showing again, I mentioned Gantt charts and production progress reporting. That's all part of the production side of Crows Nest. And on the installation and closeout, another area, we're tracking by again status. What is the status of all my maybe installation work orders, and are they on time? Who has been assigned to do it, to do that work, etc. Even using our mobile app to create out in the field, a punch list item. And with task management, by creating a punch list through the mobile app out in the field, instantly a task is being triggered to somebody in the office to get working on it. So you're not late and moving it and tracking the status, of course, of each work order, what needs to be done, by when, etc. Installation completion. And then I mentioned our mobile app. And our mobile app, labor can be captured out in the field. Some of our customers even use it in the shop. But yeah, you can report your time. And of course, it's GPS coordinate capturing. So how do I say this gently? But, if we have projects that are out of state and I've got my installers, and it's 6 a.m. and they're clocking in, are they in bed or are they really at the job site? So, that can be tracked, and that as well. often installers, they never carry cash or credit cards with them. And there's always something they need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's for. And so they have the ability through the mobile app to create a purchase order. So they don't have to wait, call up the shop and wait for a purchase order. All that is time being wasted. They can just scan the barcode right on the shelf, issue a purchase order, and get out of there.
Wow.
Literally, you can look up real-time inventory values with the mobile app. You can look at where we have document management inside of Crows Nest. You can go into any of those folders and the files that are in those folders and literally pull up any file and view it through the mobile app. We have the CRM side, who are all the participants, the different trades that are on, and who are the representatives and what's their email addresses and phone numbers, et cetera, and literally call somebody using the mobile app just by clicking on that. What tasks do I have out in the field that have been assigned to me? That's all available, and click on it and start working on it. And timekeeping is captured automatically, and even taking photographs of job conditions and or for punch lists in the mobile app. So that more or less covers, on top of this infrastructure, all this functionality and how cohesive it all is.
Wow. So, I mean, to summarize, as you were talking through each of those points, I was able to think about probably 2 or 3 software solutions that I've demoed per item that you talked about. And you have this all in one, like you said, one information hub rather than a bunch of silos that don't talk to each other or don't immediately or directly relay the information correctly.
Absolutely. That is the key. Yep.
Wow. Okay. And you did mention something beforehand about a promotion available to our viewers, whether they view this live or on the replay. Could you dive into that?
Yeah, we're very appreciative of people tuning in and listening and allowing us to introduce ourselves. So as part of our customization and implementation, we provide for every customer we know that we're going to be producing reports. So we provide at least one report, custom report from scratch. And the reason we do that is we know the one report every customer is going to ask for is by proposal form. Every customer has their own unique proposal form. So we provide that out of the box as part of our standard package. Well, folks that listen and tune in and mention to us, between now and the end of August, we're prepared to offer up to 5 custom reports on our dime for every customer. In addition to that, our mobile app, and if I had my phone, it's around here somewhere, but our mobile app, it has a cost associated. It's the only other cost that we have outside the initial purchase, $225 per server connection. So if you got 15 or 10 people out in the field, it's $2,200. It could be a lot of money. We're going out of our way for folks that are interested between now and August that sign up with us. We're going to give you lifetime unlimited mobile app connections, no cost. And that's huge. So that's something that Colin and I have talked about. And we're happy to do that through the end of August. And so that's our promotions. And of course, those that are tuning in and plan to go to IWF next week, we hope you'll come and visit us and see it in action. If I can share, we're in the connector building, BC. And so BC 703 is our booth.
Okay, so they can come through. And is there any other way for people to get a demo if they're not able to attend in person?
Absolutely. Colin, do you want to take the first stab at that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, they can contact me. I've got my contact details, and obviously I can do a demo. Some of it we can do on Teams, or if it's required, we can go and do it in person. And obviously, depending on the number of demos that are required, sometimes Norman will go do them. But anyone who's contacted me, I will manage that, and then once we get you committed into the purchasing of this software, then obviously there's a whole process behind Norman and I of people who help install and set up and support. Yeah. It's a very supportive group. You don't just buy it and that's it. You got 2 good salespeople and then nothing beyond that. Watch this video, go to that link. No, you're speaking to people. People are helping you. It's a very supportive software, a group.
And the reason we do this, whether Colin or myself were doing demos online or out in person, and that's neither here nor there. The point is, the reason we do this, Crow's Nest, again, it is so customizable. You visit our customers, you're not going to see the same thing twice because you get to customize it. People ask all the time, well, don't you have a trial that I can just run for a week or two on my own? No, because it's not going to mean anything to you until we understand your business and work with you. So we go, and our demos typically take 2-3 hours. They're very in-depth. They're thorough because we want you to understand what you can do with the software. And my best demos, when I do them, customers will say, Norm, I saw what you did there and how you set it up. We would set it up differently, but I now know how I would set it up, and I know I can set it up. Bingo. Then I've been successful in what we're trying to show you. So that's why, we do the demo routine rather than can I try it, and trial it for 30, because it's not Microsoft Word. It's not Microsoft Excel, and it's not plug and play.
Okay, and Colin, what are some ways for people to get a hold of you, just in case they're only seeing this recording?
Yeah, obviously in the company website, which is www.addmoreservices.com, or to my personal email, caddley@addmoreservices.com. I'm all over Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn particularly, they can find me pretty easy on LinkedIn.
It sure is.
And once you get hold of us, that's the commitment we make to give our time to go out there and understand your shop, your needs, your requirements, not what we're just selling as a product, so that our product can adapt to your requirements. That's why it's such an exciting product, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah. And then Crow's Nest, of course, is crowsnestsoftware.com. And I'm happy to say, in the next 2 to 3 days, by the end of next week, we will have our new website up and running. Plan to go live with that, but certainly the existing website is available today.
Nice. And the cool thing about these consultations and demos is that they're also getting experience from, Colin, you mentioned 50 years in the industry. Norm, you've been in it a long time. If I'm 5 years old, 10 years old in the business, you guys are able to kind of guide me and leave me these clues as to when I'm growing. These are some things
that's an added benefit you get, because we're not sales guys. We're from the millwork. We're from construction industry for decades, and I've ran many shops and set up shops and removed shops. So when you go in there, obviously you're getting the benefit as well. When they say, well, they're having a problem, say, well, hey, what I did previously on this is X, Y, Z. Have you thought about doing that? And we can give some, very, based on experience, good suggestions.
Great. And, to everybody in the audience, thank you for your time. We do have the Q&A coming up. I have 3 questions teed up.
Okay.
And if you're not able to continue, we appreciate your time. Please reach out to these gentlemen, but time for the Q&A. I guess this one would be geared more towards Norm, but maybe Colin, you might have the answer as well. Are we able to incorporate integrations with other software into Crow's Nest?
Absolutely. From a financials, we have out-of-the-box integrations ready to go with QuickBooks, with Sage, with Xero specifically. When I say those 3 specifically, we've integrated with Peachtree in the past, Sage 50 and 100, I think even 300. We are built for integrations, and we customize integrations all the time. We also integrate with Cabinet Vision, Microvellum in terms of on the bill and materials side, et cetera, for procurement purposes. Also, maybe in our shipping, our barcoding and shipping manifesting. A lot of times those lists will come from Microvellum or Cabinet Vision and directly import it, and then we create the labels and you start scanning and away you go.
Perfect. Okay, and the next one is it says LinkedIn user. I'm not sure why it doesn't show their name, but they're asking if we have subcontractors or partners that are on a different domain, are we able to create user accounts for them as they're part of our team?
Again, that's where the permissions are also very important. You would give them access so they could come in and they're running it as if they're going to be different domains, my recommendation would be that you would house the database in the cloud rather than on premise. And that way, everybody, even in the front office, when you're accessing on the client part of Crow's Nest, you're actually accessing it though through the cloud over the internet, no differently than your folks that are outside your office, accessing it. Give them a user account and be very judicious with the permissions, and you're ready to go.
Right. I guess a great example would be if the ADDMORE team was doing your takeoffs for your estimates.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and the last question that we have here is from YouTube. It says, once I've created reports, let me make sure I understand this correctly. Once I create reports, and if I edited a report down the road, how would that affect the past? My guess would be that you duplicate the report, but that's just my guess.
Well, a report is nothing more than formatting data to look like something and its output. So it's not going to affect the actual data, but it's going to affect the way it's viewed.
Okay, and I see part 2 of the question was, okay, I got it now. Now it makes sense. Part 2 of the question was, if I'm seeking financing, this would definitely help me with putting my proposal together. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can show, projects coming up, backlog.
Oh, sure.
Past historical. So that's an interesting use. I never thought of that.
I never thought of that. But if you're going to go to see your bank manager and you're going in with a very well presentable documents, the same as the contemporary records for the claim, you go to the bank and you want a loan, the better prepared and the better you can show it in the most user-friendly way, like the dashboards and reports can do from Crow's Nest, then you have a better chance of getting your loan passed through.
And along these same lines, because you just reminded me of something that I literally have at least one customer I remember purchased our software because he loved it and needed it, but he also had an exit strategy. And his exit strategy is, I want to have this in place, ready to go, which is going to make the value of my business when I sell it.
Yeah,
and
that's a very good point.
So
because a lot of smaller businesses, they don't have second or third generations carry them on, and the plan is to sell it when they retire.
Mm-hmm.
So the better you can present that business to
make it more attractive.
Yeah,
sure.
It's definitely another. I hadn't thought of that, but that's definitely another added value.
That's right.
All right. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for your time, for viewing. Colin, Norm, that was actually pretty fun, and the possibilities are endless. Right? It's just a matter of having a vision and being able to communicate it with you when you're onboarding.
Sure, and there is a lot to it, but it can, as Norman said, some of it you can start implementing very quickly.
Yeah.
It's really, you've just got to know really your plan of how you want things to be done, and Crow's Nest can do all of that, but you need to just how you want to do it. And then obviously when we're there, if we saw something that hey, well, why are you doing 5 steps? Why don't you just do the 3 steps? Or no, with this software, we'll give advice, and then you take it or you don't take it. That's up to you. It's your business. And we're just there to try and help you do the best results.
And then along those lines, we're also teaching you, the customer, to be self-serving. So if you want to be able to carry on and add, augment, change, you have that ability rather than depending on us, but we're always there to back you up.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say, just being as a QS, a commercial guy, the cost of this software, when you speak with Norman and I, in person, it's very reasonable. And as he said, it's not, we're not renting this, we're not subscribing it, you buy it. And that doesn't mean you're not buying the whole building. You're getting a whole building, but you're paying the cost of the apartment. It's quite a small price for what you're getting for life. Yeah. And the only thing that the annual renewable licenses, you can take them or don't take them. If you're happy at 2024 to stop, and that all works for you, and you don't want the updates, you don't have to pay for them every year going on. I mean, we recommend that you do, and it would be practical.
And the first year of updates is included.
Yeah, so you get the first 12 months are even free. Yeah. It's really very, very cost efficient for small to medium-sized businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, stick around for a minute. I'm going to end the stream. Everybody, thanks again.
Thank you.